Two of my camels come from the Northern Territory, and my male catapult has been traumatized, and it's taken years of gentle touch and love to help him to trust people again. An incredible campaign. Susie, thank you, Lisa, and to all the Animal Leave team for your amazing and determined work in exposing these horrors. And Heather, thanks so much, Lisa. You are amazing. And we all roundly agree with that, Heather. You really are amazing, Lisa. So thank you. And so we come to our final speaker for the evening. And as Lisa mentioned, we have deliberately decided to end on a high. Theresa and Matthew Cowan provide sanctuary for over 200 Australian native, exotic and farm animals alike that we now call Willuna home. Yes, that's the name of the sanctuary, Willuna Sanctuary. And the sanctuary's purpose and mission is to provide a safe forever home to animals that are displaced, lost, or in need of a loving place to live out their years free from harm. And Theresa will be speaking about Willuna Sanctuary, including the resident camels and their offspring, to give us all a better understanding of what intelligent, social, and affectionate beings they are, their backstory, and how their very presence is changing the hearts and minds of visitors to Willuna. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with us, Theresa.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll work through, I'm not sure where we're at on timing, but I'll work through as fast as I can. But obviously the key point of being here today is to help people that are watching this and others that end up following our page or visiting our sanctuary, or who are keen to support this wonderful campaign and this expose that Animal Liberation are doing, just to give you the other side of the coin and introduce you to our beautiful ladies to help inspire you or inspire others to know what they're fighting for. And I think that's the main point of why I want to be here. Willuna Sanctuary, we birthed Willuna Sanctuary 2 years ago on Saturday, will be our 2-year anniversary. So feeling quite proud of what we've accomplished. And for those of you that don't know anything about me, I didn't come from a background in farming or animals or being exposed to that. I was 20 plus years in the corporate space, and most recently 5 to 6 years in the corporate banking space. And I guess always just didn't feel fulfilled. It just wasn't, we weren't living a purposeful life. And I'm telling you, it was a sudden decision. It was one of those light bulb moments. One day we woke up and just said, you know what, what's the point in talking about these things and animal welfare and animal rescue and liking some posts or sharing some animal welfare posts? What can we do to really make an impact? And we were in the position at the time that we sold our family home on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria. We quit our jobs. That was a little bit scary, and we found this wonderful piece of land that we knew was going to be the perfect spot to provide a sanctuary to many lost and displaced animals. So thank you for that. And yes, we do provide sanctuary to over 200 farm, native and exotic animals who would have otherwise suffered an early demise or be subjected to a torturous life. Some of our furry residents include ostrich. Ostrich are an incredible, amazing creature, again, that are farmed and killed for meat and feathers. Water buffalo. There's a whole story behind water buffalo and what happens in Australia with such a sentient, intelligent, incredible being. Canadian elk, emu. We have some kangaroos that have been rehabilitated but not quite ready to go back into the wild. And thankfully we have a large enough, being 63 acres, a large enough space to support them to be able to be released. Parrots, sheep, cows, guinea pigs, rabbits. But why we're here today is one of my passions, and where I have a very strong heart is for our resident camels. Just quickly though, before I stop speaking, and I believe a picture speaks 1,000 words, so I'm actually going to use some video to help you connect with these beautiful ladies. I guess one big challenge of starting up an animal sanctuary is, and for any not-for-profit or any charity organisation, is funding, and where are you going to get your money from to be able to care for these lives and these beings that come in. Secondly, if we were to be rescuing these animals whilst these individual lives that we have living at Willuna have their lives changed and can now experience sanctuary, there's so many more out there that don't get that opportunity, that need advocating and educating for. So when we found this property, there was a couple of cabins, some self-contained cabins, and I saw that as a perfect opportunity to be able to provide an opportunity for people to come and stay who had an interest in animal welfare and animal rescue, or a particular animal, e.g. camels, and have the opportunity to come and meet and greet and interact with and learn about the animal that they're wanting to fight for. And in turn, guests pay to stay in the cabins, and that's exactly how we fund what we do. We don't open to the general public, even though we have people arriving at our gate on the daily. We have to turn them away. We don't open to the general public because we're absolutely not a petting zoo, and we never will be. We're a sanctuary first and foremost, but allow the opportunity to advocate and educate firsthand. Particularly children is where my passion is. When I was about 5 years old, my mum gave me $2 to go up to the milk bar and get some lollies. And I ended up at the pet shop, and tadpoles. I saw tadpoles, and I felt horrendously sorry for these poor little tadpoles. So I brought some so I could bring them home and let them go in the creek at the back. And I guess, how old am I now? 42. So I guess that many years on, we've gone from tadpoles to camels. But when I meet a child that I can see that just has this natural draw to animals and wanting to do the right thing by them, is I really get behind them and lift them with that, because you don't know where that child's going to be, and maybe they do have to go work in a normal job for many years to be able to be in a position to do this. But I'd like to educate and advocate and just inspire the young people, because they're our advocates of tomorrow. So that's us. That's what we do. And without further ado, I would love to introduce you to the most incredible, they're going to make me want to cry because they're so beautiful. And I really feel for what the camels go through, and I really thank Animal Liberation for what you're doing. As much as that video today was very confronting and it made me cry, knowing that my girls would have been taken from the wild many years ago, not into the tourism industry, but they were taken to a dairy farm where they would have birthed many babies and had many babies taken off them. I just really thank you for what you're doing, and I'd really love to introduce you to Sahara, Cleo, who we rescued from a dairy farm, and their beautiful babies, India and Beja. And I hope that you can hear and see the following footage to help you get a better awareness of them. I think, Alex, you're doing the video, aren't you?
Okay, yes, here we are.
On the 22nd of July 2022, we embarked on a life-changing journey. We had heard about over 70 rescue camels that had come from an ex-dairy farm that had shut down. These poor, beautiful beings were placed onto a wholesale meat market auction. This is where Maddie from Maddie's Sanctuary had found them. His heart broke. He had to move fast. The auction was closing soon. These 70 camels were part of 250 that were tossed, discarded, treated like an asset. No one else knew what to do with them. He pulled all the funds he had together, and he had them delivered to his backyard. He then went on a massive task of contacting many sanctuaries like ourselves and other kind Australians around the country that had space that would take a beautiful soul into their lives. We travelled over 12 hours round trip and we brought our girls home. What made this rescue even more heartwarming is that we knew both Sahara and Cleo were carrying. They were both pregnant. We didn't know how far along they were, but what we did know and what they didn't know at the time is that they were safe and that their babies would be safe and they would be able to go on and live long lives next to their babies. This time round, no one was going to take their babies off them. It was the first time we had met, seen, touched or owned a camel. We were completely surprised about how calm and relaxed and happy they were right from day one. Through extensive research, I knew that a camel was very intelligent. I can only assume this is how they knew that they were safe. The plan was, after they had been vet checked, that they would stay in the yard for a week or two so we could bond with them. We knew that they weren't halter trained, and we'd seen the effort and how hard it was to get a halter on them to transport them. And I didn't want to put them through that stress, particularly when we were trying to allow them to trust us and get to know us. After just a few days, it became clear that Sahara and Cleo had bonded with us and that they trusted us. And so we gave them trust. We didn't try a halter, we just felt that we could move them as they were. As you can see though, they did need to stop, say hello, and meet some of their new friends along the way. Their calm but very inquisitive personalities stood out straight away. These two always need to know who's who in the zoo, who's doing what, who's got what food, and who they can be friends with. We learned very quickly that these ladies wear their hearts on their sleeve. They show us when they're happy, they show us when they're sad, they show us when they need something. And they always show us how excited they are when we come to spend time with them. Every day I would spend hours just hanging with them in the paddock. I wanted to make sure they were comfortable with me so I could be there when they gave birth. I didn't ask anything from them. Their presence was enough. Their tummies grew bigger and eventually it was time. On the 23rd of September 2022, we welcomed a new addition into our lives. First though, we had that absolutely amazing privilege of being there with Sahara by her side as she went through childbirth to deliver a baby that she would be able to keep. We had learned through the few months that we had with Sahara and Cleo that Sahara was the matriarch. She was the leader. Throughout her entire labour, she showed a level of calmness, grace, and the ability to control her emotions at the time and the pain. She knew we were there and would often look at me for a kind word of support. It was truly incredible. Exactly 3:05 p.m. on a Monday afternoon, we welcomed baby India. What a gorgeous wee girl she was. How beautiful Sahara had done it, and how proud was she. Like any new mother, she was completely besotted and focused on her new little life. And like any new baby that enters the world, mum is the only thing they need and the only thing they want. The joy we felt was overwhelming that we were able to provide a space for these two to bond and be mother and daughter and no harm come their way. Sahara was an extremely attentive mum and would never let her baby more than a few meters out of her sight. You can see here that while she was comfortable with her baby coming near the fence line, Sahara had to be the one up first and always have her baby in her sights. Eventually, Sahara trusted me to meet her baby properly for the first time. I cannot believe these babies were destined for the meat market. Exactly 2 weeks later, it was time for our beautiful Cleo. Our youngest camel, Asia, came into our lives, and what an absolute blessing she was. We found that Cleo was just as attentive as Sahara was with her baby, but Cleo was a lot more chilled, and she would allow me to get up close with her and her baby pretty much from the get-go. For the first week or two after birth, Sahara and Cleo stuck to their own areas of their paddock. At times they would come together for food and their babies would have a small interaction, but apart from that, it really was just mum and baby bonding. And I was allowed in there every now and then too, to have some fun with them. Sahara was always watching on though. One thing I underestimated when taking on these beautiful souls was the impact that their lives would have on so many others. We had people staying at Willuna Sanctuary that were coming from near and far to get a better understanding of the camel. I was highly shocked by the fact that most people thought camels were dangerous. The most common question I would get is, don't they spit? Don't they bite? Don't they kick? And all I could say was, come with me. Come and meet these beautiful ladies, and then you tell me. The beautiful thing is that each and every one of our guests who have stayed at Willuna will have the opportunity to meet Sahara, Leo, India, or Asia, have come away with a new understanding of the camel and the plight of the camel in Australia. And if just one person, one child, one little life who has had a changed perspective on the camel goes away and supports change to help these beautiful, social, emotional, intelligent creatures, then our job has been well worth it.
Thank you to those that held in to watch that. Not sure if I've frozen.
No, you're good, Theresa.
Just my image is frozen, but that's cool. Well, thank you for watching that, and I hope that just gave people a little bit more insight into the beauty of our camel. And thank you again for what you are doing to fight for these precious beings, and happy to support in any other future way as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was the most beautiful, moving presentation, and what an honor it was to be able, through you and the camera, to see the babies being born. That was extraordinary. And I noticed that even through the the you know, agonies of birthing. They never call out. They're very stalwart. They just get on with it. And gosh, Nadia raved about her time when she was with you. She just fell in love with all of the animals, and I'm very grateful to you. I mean, there's two ways of raising the profile of camels, and we've seen both of them this evening, and both are as important as the other. So thank you so much for your time. And Theresa, I'm just in the chat box now, and Sophie was crying with you at the head of your presentation. Susan sent you love hearts and thank you. Ruth Abbey, that level of trust is amazing given her previous experience with humans taking her offspring. So true. Ellie, so beautiful, hearts. And Cheryl, thank you. Knowing Cheryl as I do, I think that just the TY is about as much as you could muster watching that. I wasn't crying, you were. Susie Herder, wonderful, thank you. And Alex, thank you so much for all that you do, Theresa, and Cara as well. So if you can, and I don't know how you do everything you do, feeding 200 bubs at your place, but if you can squeeze us in again later in the year, maybe we could talk some more about water buffalo.
Absolutely. Don't get me started.
Fantastic. And Gail Darcy, thank you so much, Theresa. Camels are gorgeous. So on that very happy note, we might close for the evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and to our guests. I think it's been a wonderful webinar tonight. I've personally learned so much and been inspired and heartened, you know, for all the people out there who have no respect or compassion. Then there's people like Theresa and her husband and family, and all of you who are here tonight who, you know, it's just so heartening to see good people, and it's always good to be together with good people. So so hopefully we'll see you again. We'll advertise the next webinar with plenty of notice. And yeah, Heather, thanks so much to all of the wonderful AL people who work tirelessly. And Sophia, thank you also very much. So I think that's a joyful note for us to end on. And stay safe, everybody. And thanks again for joining us. Okay, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.